That's why.
We
Well,
don't
that's
ever
why.
hear, but
That's why I had to put that thing up there.
Oh, you're cut
the
off. I
one
can't
mic.
see where you're pointing at.
Oh,
I can't see where you're pointing at.
I'll show you. I'll show you later.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to. Well, I would grab it. That means I got to turn around and do some stuff. Hold on one second.
My-
Let me push a couple buttons, and then we're gonna get started here.
Yeah, my stepson likes the Eagles.
Well, who doesn't right now? They just won, right? They just destroyed everybody.
Bandwagon fans.
Gotta give it to them. They've been due for a long time.
Yeah. They got good
It's better
coaching.
than the Ravens, though.
I know. My friend's a Ravens fan. I'm like,
No,
it's
thank
just like being a Vikings fan.
Yeah, I don't mind the Vikings guys. I kind of, I'd like to see them win. I don't like what they did to Kirk Cousins, but it is what it is. And now they're doing the same thing to what's his name?
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, people? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? It is a Wednesday all day. Anyway, how's it going, people? I hope everybody had an awesome day today. God bless you to be here. So I guess your day has been great. No matter if it went downhill from that point, but it's still been great at some point in time. But anyway, hey, so we're here on a Wednesday. I've got two guests in the house. Awesome me. This is how awesome I am. To have Brad with me on tonight and to have Miss Winnie with me on tonight, that just tells you I am an awesome person. I'm just saying. Brad was Brad said, "Oh, no baseball hat tonight." And I'm like, "No, I'm usually I do, but I've been so cold today. And even though I've got the heat jacked up in the house and the wifey can't, she gets hot flashes and I'm cold. Yeah. Go figure figure that one out. So I had to turn down the heat, and now I got my hat on and all, So anyway,
She won.
Hey, this is I've got half of a garage in this room. That's all I own.
Hey,
Don't get me
hot
started.
flashes are no joke. I swear, there's times I think somebody could fry an egg on me. I'm just like burn it up. It's horrible.
Right.
Horrible.
But anyway, how ladies first. How we doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I've been busy creating book covers for authors and putting my podcast together for this Sunday. So I've been busy, always at my computer as usual. So, but yeah, that's what I've been up to. I just try and put all my efforts into my podcast, trying to find true crime that's a little bit different than everybody else is not easy. So I try and take some different avenues and trying to put shows together that's intriguing and new and fresh for the listeners. So.
And for those who don't know, this is the lady who put my banner together. So anytime you see me promoting my podcast, she is the one who actually put that banner together for me, which is pretty cool.
I just like the moment I started. I looked at a blank canvas and I'm like, he needs to be a comic book superhero. So that's exactly what I did with Minneapolis in the background.
I like it.
And Mr. Brad, there he is.
Hello, sir.
In the house.
How are y'all tonight?
Can't complain too much.
I'm great.
It's been great. Yeah. And we actually just finished my second book, and we just finished the cover today. So we're doing
fun!
Soft release on the 24th at our little get-together me and Tim are having out in Maple Grove.
Yes.
And a little meet and greet out there in Maple Grove. We're going to talk to some people, get to know different people, and please come if you can. I mean, it's we got some spaghetti, wings, you know, egg rolls, and fun stuff. Some wine. We have some fun.
Where's it
And
at?
Um, it is at. I'll pull it up right here. The Let's see here.
I believe it was like from 5 to 8 p.m. too.
5
Yeah.
to 8 in
Is
Maple
it
Grove
there?
there.
Yeah.
Those are
So,
so fun. I'm glad
okay,
politicians
so
do those
here I'm gonna
things.
put it on the screen. Maybe it'll come up there. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, yeah, it's all right.
All right. So it's the
I can look
24th.
it up.
Eagle Ridge Apartments in
Eagle
the
Ridge
community room,
Apartments.
7020
Awesome.
Maple Drive. 7020 Maple Drive, Maple Grove, Minnesota. Um, yeah, so it's from 5 to 8. Look at our social media platforms for that. I think Tim posted it too. And but we'd love to have some new people, some people that want to talk about the future of Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm actually going to try and make an appearance because I really
Good.
want to meet you, but I really want to meet my buddy Tim.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Oh,
just
yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I'm South Metro, so trying to get at that point with traffic 494 but I'm going to do my best. I might be a little late, but I might get out there just to
Oh,
say hello
sure.
for 20 minutes and head home.
That
Oh,
that
Yeah,
that'll
that'd be
be
great.
that would be awesome.
yes.
Love
Awesome.
to introduce you there. Be great.
Yeah, I'd
So
love to meet you.
so I pulled you two in tonight. So
Mhm.
I because I wanted to talk about immigration and what
Mhm.
immigration should look like. I wanted to talk about immigrants and
Mhm.
what that should look like also here in Minnesota.
Yes.
With the climate that we have right now, with
Mhm.
the way things went in the election, with the situation of pretty much the immigrants was being used as votes, especially when you're running around talking about a group of people was eating dogs and cats. I mean, that was ridiculous. That was stupid. That was ignorant to say. So we scared enough people into voting to get immigrants out of America. Um,
Mhm.
just off that mindset of us removing immigrants, what is your thought on that, Winnie?
I believe it's not American. This nation was built on immigrants. That's what we're about. Granted, I know they're not legal, but we can discuss kind of some ways we can make it so it's efficient and they can become legal. Because one thing I had a problem with the Republican Party during the presidential campaign, they made people fear immigrants like they were all criminals, they were all rapists, they were going to eat your cats and dogs, I have worked with so many immigrants, um, and they are the hardest working people that I know, and all they want is a better life. Obviously, they're leaving their countries for a reason. They're, you know what I mean? They're not, and even if they're sending some
Right.
money back to their family, if we can make it a way where the illegals can be temporary citizens and figure out a way which we can discuss. But yeah, I'm very pro-immigrant. I feel, this country with all the cultures, I think the more we delve into these different cultures and get to understand them and embrace each other's culture. Before, it was like embrace each other's culture, then we have diversity, and then you can't culturally appropriate. But then it's like, how are we supposed to learn about other people's culture if we're kind of ousted from even attempting to learn about it? Immigrants are important to build culture in a country and different ways to do things. So I'm very pro immigrant, but there has to be some type of way we can um, fix the issue that we have facing a state as Minnesota and a country as well.
Okay. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I'm not a fan of the parties. Like I told you before, I'm under the Republican banner, but I'm pretty much the black sheep of the Republican banner right now. And
Mhm.
I'm not a fan of how this went down with the previous administration, and I wasn't a fan of how it was scary for a lot of people because there's a lot of good people that came here, and
Mhm.
we do need to, of course, address the ones that should not stay. Um, but when it comes to a process here in any country, if that were to happen in any other country, what would happen? Most countries
Mhm.
don't have the systems that we have in place here, the welfare system and our assistance to help people. These people would be homeless in any other country, living under whatever. Okay, so
Yep.
we have the greatest country in the world, hands down. What we need to do now is, of course, we can't exactly form a whole new party here. That's just not going to work. We've got to get people to work together and unite. But again, I told Tim earlier, I'll tell you this too, Winnie. I am not concerned with the federal government, what they're doing. My concerns are Minnesota. And what I want to
Mhm.
do is Minnesota. And I want to make sure that the people here in Minnesota are safe. The people that are here illegally, we try to work something out where we can figure out a plan to get rid of the people that aren't going to be productive people. We
Mhm.
want to keep the people that want to work and live honest lives. I am all
Yes.
for immigration, 100% for it. I mean, I tell you, most of my campaign are legal immigrants. They came here legally from Vietnam, Philippines, from India, from China. This is most of my campaign. And, you know, these are people with incredible stories and incredible cultures. And we need to embrace that. But, how it happened was unfortunate. We can all agree on that. If it
Mhm.
was in a fashionable way, and again, and I'm not going to go back in time here. I'm not about history. I'm about working forward for the future and what's better for Minnesota. So what we got to do is figure out a good plan to get these people working. We need to communicate with them in some fashion. So we do need to be able to communicate. I'm too
Yes.
old to learn Spanish. I'm sorry. That's just not okay.
I
I'm
know
just
very
okay.
little.
Okay, and hey, I had a lady that worked for me at the restaurant who spoke no English, but we communicated. We got along great, no problem. And they're hard
Mhm.
workers. I have no problem
Yes.
with that. But we've got to figure out a way that okay, we have some translators. We put up the right flair and say, come on down. Let's get a slew of pro bono attorneys out of college. Let's get this thing going the right way. Let's figure out what we're going to do without costing the taxpayers a lot of money that hey, look, they've got to earn their way. This is
Yep.
America, but you've got to earn your way. There can't be the handouts like it was given. And that's one of the problems that I do have with the whole thing. What it cost us was just that was not right or fair. And so and not much things in life are fair, but I'm telling you right now that there is a way. And I think Tim and I and our administration, the people we have around us, will come up with a great plan to make it so the taxpayers don't have to flip the bill and these people can get to work and start being productive people in Minnesota.
Well, I too, again, agree with what both of you have said. I'm all about opening up the tent to those people who come here the way they're supposed to.
Right?
That's one thing I've always said. Do we close the border and say nobody comes in? No. Do we shut it down for a little bit and then we deal with the people who are here? Sure. I see no.
Yeah.
If
Good idea.
someone's been here for 5 years, they haven't caused any problems. They have been productive citizens here in these United States. There's no reason for me to put them on a bus and then send them out of Minnesota. We've
Right.
got to find a way to work with those people.
Yeah.
It's
And
just like Winnie said. Um, the culture and everything else that comes along with these people who come here. My whole thing is I don't want to open the door to everyone, and then they get way, they come in on a Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday they are fast tracked, and then we have all of these people who have been here for a while still waiting in line to get to where they're at. I want to work with those people who have been here, who has been productive citizens, hadn't caused any problems, willing to pay their taxes, willing to put their boots on the ground to help us get to where we're at as a state. Those are the people that I want to sit down with and get them indoctrinated into what we do here in Minnesota. But what I don't want is a group of people coming here in Minnesota, right? And pretty much acting as if they're going to take over.
yeah.
Agreed.
Those people,
Yeah.
I've got a problem with. I don't have a problem with you coming in here, getting your kids in school, you learning English, you doing the things you're supposed, you putting two and two together. If you want to open a business and doing this, we'll work with you with that. We'll get everything for you to be a productive citizen here in Minnesota. I'm willing to do that. I have no problem with that. But what I'm not going to do is somebody jump the fence, get on a bus, make it all the way to here in Minnesota, and then I'm going to treat that person who came here the wrong way as I'm treating someone who came here fairly. That's not going to happen. So we want to make sure that I understand when we say we're the land of milk and honey, and these people are running from, asylum and all of this here type of stuff. I get that. But if you use a coyote to get into America, you found a way to make it all the way to Minnesota, and we find out that's how you got here, you go home. Sorry.
Right.
Go home, get in line. When you come through, we will do everything we possibly can do to make sure that you succeed here. Because that's what it's, because if they come here and they don't succeed, next thing we know, we got trouble. Correct?
Correct.
There we go.
Correct. But that's kind of like my solution, because you have I'm not sure what the percentage in Minnesota of illegal immigrants that they figure that are here. But one thing I've always said is, okay, so let's use our Minnesota Department of Revenue. If we want to do it at a statewide scale, okay, have them hand out, instead of social security numbers, because they're not citizens, hand out a pathway to citizenship numbers. It's an ID number. They're documented. We can take taxes out for their medical care, housing, things like that. So that way they are paying for their own way here.
That's
They're
agreed.
earning their citizenship. And we can utilize the branches of government we already have, the Internal Revenue Service, but yeah. I mean, there is a way to do it, but give them an incentive to want, because trust me, I've heard horror stories of people trying to become citizens. It takes forever. And when there's a mother or a family in Guatemala that needs to get out because it's a war-torn country and they need to get out of the country and get to the States, I would hate to tell them, oh, sorry, get in line. I know your life's in danger, but it's going to take you 10 years. So I understand why a lot of people do come here illegally, because they want to just get here. They don't want to wait. But the people that are here, that are working, that have established lives here, give them a temporary citizenship number. Let them pay taxes, let them cover their own expenses, and once they've earned the right to become a full citizen, do the test, the Constitution, all that stuff, like what a normal immigrant would have to do to become a citizen. Once they get that, instead of their temporary ID, they get a social security number, and now they are an American citizen. I don't.
Yeah, I like that. And I mean, again, we're spitballing here, but we've got to come to the round table. We've got to get in the war room, figure this out, and we got to do it quick. And obviously, the current administration is not doing it.
No, I mean, it seems like for the last 30 years, we've been arguing the same problem, but no solutions have happened except put up a wall and kick people out. Well, that's not a solution. That's just getting rid of a problem. But the problem's still, it's, I don't know. It's
we shouldn't have people afraid to become American citizens. Fear of being criminal is one thing, but being American citizen is another. And so, I see a bunch of people popping in on the screen here. I was just looking at all the comments. I didn't realize I had to open it up and see all the comments, but good crowd tonight, guys. But yeah, it's
well, you can read those if you want to, Brad.
I am. I'm seeing John and I feel like we're Mr. Rogers. I'm seeing John and Jeremy and Shauna. But immigration is one of those emotional topics that you need good leadership to keep this under control. We do not have current good leadership. Our leadership is vacant right now. He's traveling the country at least, prancing around, promoting himself for whatever reason. He is not fixing what's going on here in Minnesota. Our lieutenant governor is gone. No, we haven't seen her at all.
Checked out. She checked out, bro.
We have 17 months of and they're not earning a dime. We have so many problems going on right now, and we're reducing with the economy in the state, with how much we're bad in our financial situations here in Minnesota. We keep dropping further and further on the chart of 50 states, and they're not doing anything to turn that around. Nothing. I don't care what you want to call them. You can call them the Democrats, the liberals, right? It's the administration. It's the leadership right there that's failing. Now, I don't care who's in office, who's an elected official right now. They're all failing. Because I'll tell you what, even if I was a House representative or a senator in there right now, I'd be in there fighting to try to do something here, because look what's going on. We're going to flatline in 18 months. Flatline. We're already going to go bankrupt again. You know how many times we've gone bankrupt in the past 10 years in Minnesota? How many times we've gone bankrupt under the Walls administration? And then we had a $18 billion surplus. These guys can't count.
I know.
Well, what we do know, it's like you said, you got a governor who is on a world tour, and he has because he's never had an answer for anything. So let's be real first there. You have a lieutenant governor that in the whole time they've been there, you really can't tell me anything she's done. And right now, she's completely checked out. I mean, we don't have a lieutenant governor right now. We really, honestly don't. We do not. Her mainstay right now is getting that other seat. She could care less about Minnesota in a role of the lieutenant governor. So they could care less about the immigrants who are right now walking the streets of Minneapolis, because the mayor of Minneapolis have put out a decree to the police department that if you see someone in a tent, you are to rouse them until they move. And they're trying to act like that they've cleared up the homelessness in Minneapolis. It's a lie. All of those immigrants who have come here, who has been walking up and down Lake Street, 31st, 38th, Chicago, all that area over there are the very people that we are talking about, right? So we've got to round those people up and figure out how did they get here and what do they want while they're here, and then try to do something with these people. That's what has to happen here in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, and I believe, even if you were to have some type of temporary citizenship, you get one strike. You screw up, you're gone, dude. Sorry.
I
Yeah,
like
there's
that
no
too.
three-strike rule.
I like that
You have
too.
one shot. Just mind your P's and Q's, be a human being. Don't be an a-hole to people, and just be a citizen and just contribute and work and do what you're supposed to do. It's not that hard.
It's not that hard, right?
No, it's not. I mean, it's tough. I'm not saying it's going to be, an easy road, but
Look, here's the problem. Here's the problem. And I've been doing this for a while. I've been inside the party trying to, learn what's going on, and none of them are organized. Well, the DFL is organized, but it's in the kind of a wrong way. They're emotionally organized. They get people to get riled up over the emotions of topics rather than they're the problem. They're not the solution fixers. Okay, they're not bringing solutions to the problem. They are the problem. And with the Republicans, they don't do anything.
No.
When was the last time you saw a Republican riot or a picketing or a protest from the Republicans?
Well,
When?
there was January 6th.
And okay, again,
but that was a while ago.
Very, very far right.
Yeah.
Again, extremely conservative.
I would say probably the only, I would say conservative that wasn't over the top. I would say a lot of pro-life people, because some of them can be pretty even keel. They just want to get the message out. But that would probably be the only one I can think of, really, because every other one is psychotic and broke, into fights and people running over people with cars. I mean, I don't know what's happening to society. It's
well, we're lawless.
Yeah.
We're lawless, and people are running around doing whatever they think is what they want to do without thinking there's any repercussion. We've got to start having. I mean, we got to let the cops do. Well, I won't get into their job, but I mean, there is some good cops and some bad cops, and what we need to do is have more good cops, and we need to uphold the laws in the right fashion without. What's the other topic we got here? Police brutality. I mean, we've got to make sure that things are done within the law, and. As much as I want to support all these things, we need some education all the way around.
Yes.
It's a tough job. And Tim and I talked about this before we got into this. It's a tough job, but you need tough people to get in to do this, not spineless Sallys. Okay, you need a couple people with spines that are going to hold everybody accountable and build a team that will also hold people accountable. And that's why Tim and I are good partners.
Yeah. It's a partnership. It's trying to work together instead of against each other. I know my son, he's graduating high school this year. He wants to be a mechanic, but he's also kind of teetering on wanting to be a police officer. And I told him I let my kids do whatever their heart desires. As long as I don't have to take care of them for the rest of their lives, whatever makes you happy,
right?
Just as long as you build a mom suite out back. My oldest. What?
I think that's great. I had so many friends growing up that we used to grow up, and you guys know this. I mean, you're a little bit younger than us, of course, Winnie, but people used to grow up. I want to be a police officer. I mean, people like that used to be heroes. Yeah. And what our society and our parties have done to that type of mind thinking, for children to grow up to want to fulfill a dream, it's like you almost get shamed. Oh, you want to be a cop? Why? I mean, why you want to be a fireman? Why? I'm like, because, okay, maybe I don't. We've got to stop letting these kids have that dream that they want to do. They want to be an astronaut. We need more dreamers in the world, and we need to embrace that rather than punish that.
Well,
right. We were the country of innovation, man.
Right.
I mean, God, let's get back to it.
well, when
Minnesota has created so much. I mean, we have the Pearson salted nut roll. Can you have anything that tastes any better?
well, you got a point.
Wow.
That is a good point.
We can end the show on that one.
Right. Yep. That. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Y'all have a good one. I appreciate it, Winnie.
Oh, Pearson's candy. Gotta love it.
Right. But hey, I'm glad you guys brought up the situation with the police. I think we all agree where we need to go with this immigration problem and the situation that we're having. Before we get into the police, I just want to touch on base on one other thing that I sent both of you guys, that situation where Donald Trump is basically somewhat pulling back the reins on the immigrants who are already here, basically saying that if you work in a field, if you work at a restaurant, the hotels and things of that sort, he's kind of going, and you're undocumented, he's kind of making a way for you to stay here, right? That's pretty much what I mean, and I think we all agree with that, and we've said, as long as you're not acting a fool, being a criminal,
right?
You're undocumented, but you're working towards being documented, and we're helping you get there. You have a job, then we can work with you. I think Donald Trump finally sees that he don't have to go in with a wrecking ball like he did before and lie on people who don't look like him, right? That we can work with people. And reading that today, I was happy that he finally saw the light. Not everybody is bad, right? Because him and J.D. Vance, let's be honest here, had pictured these people as being the worst things that ever happened to the United States. They did.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And now they're seeing that we need these people. If you go down south and go to some of these fields where they're growing potatoes, lettuce, corn, and things of that sort, Winnie, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but people who look like you are not in those fields. People who look like me are not in those fields. Right. I hate to be one to tell you this, Brad, but people who look like you will never be out in those fields.
I've been tanning, though. Come on.
People who look like me ain't about to go back to the fields. It's like Jasmine Crockett. Do y'all see what Jasmine Crockett was saying? No. That we ain't picking cotton no more? I agree 110% with. I don't care. Y'all can get mad at her for saying that if you want to. She just told the truth, because I be damned if I'm going out there and picking one potato. One.
Oh,
it's not happening.
You don't have a green.
I might get a basket and bring it home, but
not happening. Not happening. So I thank God.
I like everything you're saying. I do.
For the people who are out there. I do.
And you're right. But the problem we have in society is that bad news travels faster than good news. Mm-hmm. So you're going to hear about the bad people before you hear about the good people. And I'm not making excuses up or taking any sides here, but it's just true. It takes 17 good things to negate one bad thing. And so when you start hearing bad things, you're right. We all get lumped into they're all bad, right? I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But the wash was cleaned. Everything came through the wash, and we're starting to see going, whoa, wait a minute. I like the pulling back on the reins. I see that, hey, we got some really good families here. Let's work it out. Let's move forward as a united community. Let's bring the the people together here. Let's figure it out. Let's be productive here. Let's move America and most importantly, Minnesota forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where we need to go, because I feel like we've been kind of just stagnant, except our taxes. That's about the only thing that's gone up. But it seems like Minnesota has
We
not.
got a question about taxes just popped in here too. Good.
Oh, yeah, because my property taxes. Oh wow, my house
You're
is.
talking to the right couple right here. We want to
Oh
end property
yeah,
taxes.
it it has caused my mortgage payment in the 3 years I've lived here. $700. It's gone up. My mortgage payment has gone up
Wow.
$700 in 3 years, and it's gotten to the point where it's like the taxes are literally pushing us out of our home.
I'm sorry for
For
that.
mortgage.
I know that's
Yeah.
a damp to a lot of Minnesotans, and we've talked about this. This is on our plate. It's very important to us that people aren't pushed out of their homes or we're renting from the government one day because of the lien on it.
hmm
One of the questions I saw was, how are we going to help the businesses here? Which the businesses here is what's going to make the whole world go round because we can employ people and we keep businesses open, right? We need to do that.
Right.
The one thing that we always overlook, that constantly we overlook, is we have a sales tax here in Minnesota, right? What's the
hmm
sales tax?
Well, it kind
What is
of
it?
depends on where you live, but
Roughly,
it's it's like 7.5, 8. No, I don't even.
7%.
Is it 7?
So yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
every business in Minnesota collects that sales tax, right?
hmm
So they are directly connected to being the collectors for the state of sales tax and get nothing for it.
Right.
So they collect all the sales tax for the state of Minnesota for everything sold. And in their good faith, they have to pay that sales tax at the end of the year and get nothing for it. They are a tax collection agent and get nothing for this.
Right.
That is wrong.
It's
That's
very
wrong.
wrong.
They are an employee of the state. And right now, it's too high, first and foremost. Secondly, I don't believe in business taxes. We need to help these businesses grow so that we
Right.
can help them in what's that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, why are there business taxes? I can understand income tax.
You
Like,
you
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 pay
ever
tax.
you ever open up a brick and mortar business? There's
No,
there's
I don't
there's
care.
so many licenses and fees and whatever you got to go through
Mhm.
to jump through the hoops. You're into it $25,000 to $50,000 or more if there's construction permits. Not to
Oh,
mention
God.
a architectural designer from the city that's approved that you just charge $15,000 for the proper architectural design to be able to start construction. There are so many fees that businesses have to open a business nobody knows about. Okay, so you think business people are rich? Oh my God, no. They are the hardest working slaves for the state and the
Mhm.
government that there is. And the amount of money you got to put into opening a business is ridiculous. And then they keep
Yeah.
on throwing more and more regulations on you. We need to start deregulating this state and start letting people work a little bit more for their money and keep that money. So I'm not for
Right.
business taxes. I've been saying this for 5 years. Okay, I'm not for, of course, the income tax. Now, for Social Security tax for seniors, veterans, I mean, there are so many taxes here. The amount of money that comes in through our sales taxes, permits, tickets, all that stuff alone is enough money to make this world go round. And the problem is we don't have enough people right now because everybody's moving out. We need to incentivize people to open up businesses. We need to incentivize people to want to be in Minnesota. Now, you got businesses all over the country right now leaving Minnesota, going somewhere else. Why? No business taxes.
Yep.
Well, if they can do it, why can't we? Why are we
Right.
doing it?
And
I'll tell
you
you
know
why. You know the word. You know the word.
what's that word?
Walls.
Oh,
Poor
well.
leadership. The
Oh,
guy at the
yeah.
top of the hill is a poor leader. And you know what? He's hurting so many people, so many businesses, and now the stress is on us. Again, I'm for the immigration, but it's costing us, and we got to manage it properly. And how we do that? We need more businesses. We need to help these people. If they can't get a job, open a business. When the businesses that are open, we need to help them flourish. Help them with them making more money so they can hire more people and stay open. The amount of businesses that are closing right now, there's 10 a day closing in Minnesota because they can't afford to stay open. So when it comes to taxes and real estate taxes, we have a program. Tim and I talked about the Take program that we want to implement to stop real estate taxes. When you own that home, you should own that home.
Right.
That's your land. That's you.
Well, especially for seniors.
Absolutely.
A senior citizen. That's one of the things that when we get into office, I want to spearhead looking into taking the tax break, giving the senior citizens a tax break. You've been in your house for 15 years. And just like you said, Winnie, that the taxes are basically to the point to where you're going to have to sell your house. If you've been in your home for that long, you're a senior citizen. You deserve every chance you have to be in that home until they put dirt on you. Period, point blank.
And a lot of the elderly, group of people that we have, they're still baby boomers, man. They want to stay in their house till the day they die. And a lot of them are paid off, but then they got to take their Social Security checks they get every month and cover their property taxes. So they're literally using some tax money to pay another tax. I mean, this is just getting ridiculous. I mean, there's, especially now with the tariffs and trying to bring more manufacturing, more jobs to this country, it is going to drive the cost up because our cost of living is high. So having these taxes taken out and these fees taken out, that's going to help offset that increase in probably, trying to get things built here and things like that, especially in Minnesota, because we do have a lot of manufacturing here. But I don't understand why businesses are taxed. That doesn't make sense at all. They're helping to provide a good for the public so the public will spend money back into the economy. That's how economics works. And taxing it, you're just destroying the economy.
And they're tax collectors for the state. Why are you hurting? Yeah.
It's crazy. So we have to make a difference in Minnesota to get us back to where. When I moved here in 1990, I was like, wow, this, because I left Anaheim, California to move here. My wife is from here. And when I got here, I'm like, oh my God, this is like one of the best places I've ever been. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm a military brat. My dad did 24 years in the Marine Corps. I bounced around from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, to out to Yuma, Arizona, and some every other place, Memphis, Tennessee. But I got here to Minnesota, and I was like, this is an awesome place to raise a family. Taxes wasn't that high back then. I mean, when I first got here, no joke. When I first got here, I worked for a company in Crystal, Minnesota. You remember those companies that you could buy so many CDs for so many, you fill out your little brat. You remember that? I worked for a company who sold those CDs. When I first got here, I was making $7. Listen, it was myself, my wife, and my kid. I made $7.35 an hour when I first got here to Minnesota. And and my wife worked at Creative Carton there in Brooklyn Center, and she made $8.20. We lived off of that. Mm-hmm. We were able to live off of that, go downtown, have a good time, have Christmas everything off of that little bit amount of money.
Count a total combined $16 an hour. You
Yes.
and your wife made. Yeah.
That's what I'll show you. I'll even show you our W-2s and show you exactly what we made when I first got here in 1990, how we lived, and we lived simple, man. I mean, we had an apartment in Rockford, Minnesota. If you ever go to Rockford, Minnesota and look up, there's some blue apartments. We paid $342, $45 to live in that apartment.
Oh my God.
Two bedroom apartment.
Wow. Two?
I think that's
And
my
then-
electric bill. Oh my gosh.
Then we moved to Plymouth, Minnesota, and we paid $500 for a 2-bedroom. Nice place. That's what we moving on up.
Yeah.
We started making just a little bit of money. I think she started making $9 an hour, and I started making like $8.50 or something like that. So we moved up to a $500 apartment room. You can't get that these days. I want to go back to where I want Minnesota to go back to where a young couple, like my son right now who lives in Maple Grove, and for a 2-bedroom townhouse, he's paying $2,200 a month. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's a lot.
We needed to get it to where a young couple who just got together can build off of that somebody there. They don't have to make $300,000 between them, because these young kids right now are not making that money like that.
Yeah.
No.
We've got to get Minnesota back to
We talked about that, didn't we?
right.
The
Right.
plan to get young couples in owning a home. We talked about that, and I'm telling you, yeah.
Yeah, I was a mortgage banker. I finally had to get out of it because I said, it's getting to a point where nobody wants to buy a house at these inflated prices, at these higher interest rates, when they know they're going to lose. It's probably going to tank in a couple of years. But the problem was a lot of, what I ran into? Property taxes. Property taxes were causing people's DTI to be over the 50% mark for them to get their first time home buyers deal. That's
We've been
what
talking.
I'm facing. Oh,
We've
it's
been
horrible.
talking to state banks here in Minnesota, not national banks, but state banks. And we talked about when we're going to get in office and what we want to do. And you know what? There's not a bank in the state that would not back a loan if it was backed by the state. So we've been working on a plan to put young couples into homes. Now they're fixer-uppers, that they'll receive a small grant, fix up this home in neighborhoods where multiple couples will move into to help fix up neighborhoods and restore certain areas. But they'll have the opportunity to get a home back to the $125,000 to $150,000 range again, where it's their starter home, and help build a community. That's the plan. We're already talking to banks about it. It's going to work.
Yes. Kind of like a habitat. That's what Habitat for Humanity was. And that's kind of teetered away. But Habitat for Humanity, they would rebuild homes or build brand new homes and give it to a family who is struggling but needs a good home and needs a good neighborhood to be in and good schools. And that's what our citizens of Minnesota deserve. We don't deserve this lame duck. Nothing's going on except our taxes are going up. Let's fix what's going on and make it better. That's what better. That's
We're
what
going to
being
make Minnesota affordable again.
Yes, please do.
Or everybody's just gonna, or everybody's gonna leave. Wisconsin's gonna offer something. South Dakota, North Dakota, Iowa, they're gonna offer something better than what Minnesota has, and then people are gonna walk away from a beautiful state. So we've got to get this thing. Yeah, we've got to get this thing figured out. And the way we figure it out is through our youth, and to help the senior citizens stay in their house.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Our young people are the future of Minnesota, not just in that.
Yeah.
We've got to bring them into this, have them. We got to mentor them for the future of Minnesota. They're the ones, these gamers now, these millennials and these Gen Zs. These are the ones that are going to set the future for us. They're very smart young people.
Yeah.
They're underrated. They need the opportunity and be mentored for the future of Minnesota, because we're not looking at being career politicians here. Tim and I are looking to get in to fix this problem and hopefully turn it over to somebody here who's going to keep it going with a lot more youth and energy and a
Right.
vision, right? And a vision.
Yes.
So then we can retire affordably. Okay.
Yes.
And so our goal is to get these Gen Zs and these millennials really good jobs that are based on helping Minnesota grow and doing some off the wall kind of things that dreamers dream of. And we've got a lot of great ideas. And these people here, these young people, they're not utilized or valued like by a lot of people, but we see the value in them. And Tim and I want to bring them forward and utilize them and let them use their imaginations like we used to do.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm just going to clue you in. A lot of the snowbirds, they're not coming back. They're staying in Arizona. They're starting to stay in Florida because they don't want to pay the taxes. We need our youth to start stepping up.
And
And
this is where immigration is going to help us.
yes, because we're and people, that generation, the elderly generation, they got a lot of money. So we need to figure out how to replace that whole genre of people, that whole era of people. We need to, have innovation. And yeah, gamers, my kids are smarter than whips. My son learned how to fly a plane on the Microsoft plane simulator, and now he's got his commercial airline pilot.
He's awesome. And I tell you, what's that?
Oh, it's just crazy. It's just like he learned to fly on a game, and now he's a real pilot. It's like, what the heck?
Well,
But these kids are smart these days. I mean, they are.
hey,
But we've got to give them a plateau. We've got to get them in an area to where, like your son, he can open that up and we can start doing more things for them and different things for them.
right.
Our youth, just like we should have been, is the opening of that future if we open these doors and let these kids out and do what they're doing. I mean, we always talk about, oh, these kids are nothing, these millennials are this and these millennials are that. I just think we just haven't given them the opportunity to spread their wings and to do things. But I think if we open the door for them, I do believe they will surprise us.
I think
my 2 cents.
I really think this generation is going to be the generation that helps not just helps the war on crime and drug smuggling and the war on human trafficking. I think they're the ones that's going to stop it. I think that their passion and their intelligence and what they do and the way they're so technical now that they're the ones that's going to help with like I said, the human trafficking that is near and dear to all of our hearts that we would love to stop. I think this is a generation that we let them go, let them loose and go, what's the plan? How do we stop this? How do we go after these people? These are the ones that can use these imaginations from like I said, from the gaming to from being a computer whiz and programmers. This is the generation. These two right here are going to what's going to stop and restructure the way things are done. Because you stop human trafficking, you stop the war on you stop fentanyl coming in. I tell you what, it's going to make it real hard for criminals to make money.
Yep. I deal with it on my podcast. I've talked about fentanyl and how much of a big business it is, and just to figure out how can we crush that and get this kind of crap out of our society. Yeah, and I really feel they're going to be the generations. They know how to go in through GTA and fix stuff and figure it out, guys.
They do,
I
yeah.
don't,
Well,
they figure it
you guys touched on it earlier today. We also have to get, especially in the black community, we have to get it to where we have a community and a police department that comes back together. One of the problems that I see is we don't have enough cops actually walking the streets. Back in the day, a police officer would stop and have conversations with the community. The community would stop and have conversations with the police officers. That is missing. That is totally missing. We don't have that anymore. We don't have that I'll roll my window down and say hello to you and things like that to get the police and the community back together, back to one understanding that everybody wants to be safe.
The trust is gone. It's right.
Gone.
And I'll tell you what else is bad. Okay, that is in conjunction with that. It is the education of our black community. And if you look at the stats from over the years, we've put more money into our education system and we've lost our students. It's gotten worse. What we need to do is build that trust back up. And when we say no person left behind, we really need to do that. Not this BS that they're trying to do now. And no person left behind. Yeah, the only ones not left behind are the ones lining their pockets with the money going into the education system. We need some real teachers here that are incentivized. And this is how we stop this. We incentivize the teachers. That if the more people you get to graduate legitimately with an IQ or a status that they can go to college, that teacher gets paid more money. I want to bring the best teachers we can in America right now that want to teach and help these kids become smarter people. Now, we got to get these kids also involved. There's a lot of smart kids out there that don't think people care about them. And we do, right? We do care about them. We got to get teachers that show they care. We got to have a curriculum that shows it gets their attention, not this stuff that got going on now. What they're going on now, our education, more money going into education, and we got dumber kids. And that's the problem. And we need to build trust back up with our education system through our kids, and that will help fix the streets. So we get cops involved, we get teachers involved, we get the kids involved, and we got to incentivize.
Mom and dad,
absolutely. And that's the thing. It's this, if your kid goes to college, the chances of them being a successful person, let alone graduating high school, right? The chances, why is that? Because that everyday success, you get in the habit of being successful every day, getting better grades, getting a graduation in high school, going to college, the chances of you being more successful, it's not about anything other than, you want a successful child. We got to start learning and remembering our job as parents is to better the next generation. And as our administration, that's what we're going to focus on. We need the next generation to start getting ready because we need them to have a better Minnesota.
Yes, very much so.
Well, we will do everything that needs to be done. I mean, I believe that just sitting here, Brad and I, we have done more than Tim Walls and Peggy has done in the last year. Just sitting here.
Right.
Just sitting here. Right. Who? But that's gonna be the work. The work is getting our communities back to the people.
Yes.
One of the things that I know is going to piss a lot of people off, but I'm going to say it.
Why wouldn't you?
Is getting is getting Chicago and 38th back to that community.
Absolutely.
Over there.
Yep.
100%. 100%.
right? Day one, the bulldozers and the police would be on Chicago, ready to go at my request to get all of that stuff gone, open those streets up, get businesses back over there, and
Right.
cleaning that area up. That's
And
day
you know,
one.
yes.
Seriously,
We
day
gotta
one.
fix ground zero.
Ground
We need
zero,
to
right?
fix ground zero. We got to fix it.
It's got to
That's
be.
right.
It's got to be fixed, and that area has to go back to the taxpayers of Minnesota. Those people
All
have
hands on
every
deck on
right,
this one. Yeah.
right, to want to live in an area where they feel safe. Their kids can go out and play, and then they can go down the street and walk down to grab an ice cream cone or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that has always been an eyesore and a place that needs to be done with. And then we'll go forward and start fixing other places. Definitely want to deal with our farmers. I want a lot of people to start going to farmers to get their meats, to get their corn, to get their local, right? I want to push that like none other, because when I first got here to Minnesota, there was farms all through Corcoran. There was farms all through Hamel, all up and down that area, all up and down 81. There's houses.
Rapids too. Remember, Riverdale was a farm.
Remember when yeah.
Yeah.
The farmers are selling out because they can't afford to stay in business. Why? We need to find out why and help these farmers stay in business. When my wife and I went out to Glencoe, Minnesota, to help out there, and the farmers were like, we can't get through, we can't get through the winter, because our summer hasn't been. We need to figure out why and make sure they can get through, and people are buying from them.
Yeah, you can. You actually just Google up local farms in your area. Some of them you can go buy half a cow. You can split a whole cow between two families, and it'll feed you for the winter. And it'll cost you $400.
What'd
There
you
are.
call me?
I just don't. I don't know if people know about it, but
I would love to do that. You kidding me? Oh my God, I got a house full of kids. With the amount of meat we go through, oh my goodness, that'd be
Oh,
great.
trust me. Between my husband and I, we have 11 children together.
Wow, you
we
got
have.
me.
We are the Schrady bunch here.
You got eight.
Blended family. Yeah, I got kids from the youngest is 13 to the oldest is 38, 37. I don't
Oh
know.
my goodness.
My oldest stepson, he's a Minneapolis firefighter, so he sees all the
Wow, awesome.
drudge and stuff, and he says the homeless people, the homeless problem in Minneapolis is getting really bad. But yeah, he's a Minneapolis firefighter. But yeah, we have 11 kids, so yeah, we go through a lot of food, and it's nice to be able to buy in bulk. So yeah, if we could go take you and your neighbor and say, hey, let's go buy a whole cow together, and you split up the meat. You got meat for the winter, and these butchers they'll take it to a butcher, they'll pack it up for you. Same with chickens. People are now starting to have their own chickens. See if there's anybody in your area that has a chicken coop that's selling eggs for a lot cheaper than what the grocery store is. People got to kind of take the initiative to look too. I don't think people know.
You're right.
Yeah,
Be
be resourceful.
Support, not just the local stores, but the local farmers as well. And
Farmer markets.
Yeah. We need to again reinvest in our farmers here in Minnesota, and we gotta focus on Minnesota. We need to be that destination again. People used to talk about. You don't hear about the Mall of America anymore because it's the Mall of crap. And why is that? And we can only really blame ourselves. We've stepped in a little bit too late, and now here we are going, and it's like, oh yes, we have a big job ahead of us, but I very much believe we can do this job, and so what we got to do is prevent this from happening again, bringing in the young people so they understand, hey, you can't just leave it there. You got to keep bringing in people to replace you that follow that same dream and goals, and that's the American dream. and that
Yeah,
we live
right.
safe, we live free, and we live prosperous. And that's what we have to instill.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got, well, even like you just mentioned the Mall of America, and I remember when that was our spot when my
Yeah,
kids was growing up, and we
yeah.
took them to the
Cinnabon,
mall.
baby.
Right, we took them to the mall, and that, I mean, especially during the winter when you needed to get your kids out of the house, you needed a
Oh
place to
yeah,
go, right? And you
the
sit there and
burnout
go,
energy.
right, I can take them to the
Yeah,
mall and they can
absolutely.
run,
Yeah.
they can run all they want. You can't take your kids to the mall anymore because it has turned into one of the worst places to be. It's time to take that back. It's time to clear the criminal element out of the Mall of America and give it back to the families exactly what it was set up to be. It
That's
wasn't
my
set up
promise.
to be
That's
for
our promise, right?
all
Yep.
of these little thugs to come running down to the Mall of America and cause problems and trouble down there. And then nobody do anything about it because they don't know what to do. I know what to do. I
Yep.
know exactly what to do. That's why
Yep.
I want to build a facility. So when you start acting up, you're under the age of 18. I know where you're going. There's no doubt about this. See,
Right.
we can clean this stuff up. They just don't want to do it. We
My
we could
my
we
son
could
was
clean the streets up. They just don't want to do it. I
You know what?
spent yesterday. I spent
Yeah.
yesterday 3.5 hours just on Lindell. I spent 2.5 hours there on Penn. I spent an hour and a half on Broadway yesterday, writing down license plates. And I'm going to turn those license plates into the police because every license plate I wrote down bought drugs in those areas that I just named. Bought it yesterday. So I'm going to turn
wow.
those in. Well, if you
Good.
see this here car, if you see this license plate while you're driving around, pull the car over. I guarantee you're going to get drugs. That's how you stop them. That's how you stop the sale of drugs. You get the ones that are buying it. Cut the head off.
Yep.
We're done. But they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that.
Mhm.
And I know exactly why they don't want to do it. Because they sit there and go, if we stop the drugs, and this is no secret. If we stop the drugs in the areas that I said, guess what's going to happen? That drug activity is going to move where? Into the suburbs. And they don't want that to happen. So you know what we do? We overlook it. We act like we don't see it. And we give them a place to go. Well, unfortunately, it's been in the black community for far too long. And it's time for it to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was gonna say my son, a couple weeks ago, he came home. He's going to the Mall of America. And all of a sudden he came home like 20 minutes later. I'm like, I thought you were going to the mall. He goes, yeah, we got turned away. I'm like, huh? Why would you get turned away? You're 18. I mean, it was, and they were, I guess it was a religious holiday for a specific culture. And for my son's safety, they would not allow him into the mall.
Yeah, see, that ain't happening.
That's a problem.
That's not happening. We're done. We're done with that type of crap. We're Americans, and if you can't come here and be America and be an American, get the hell out. Period. Point blank. I have no zero tolerance for that type of crap. Zero. Get your ass to stepping somewhere else, but it ain't happening here. It ain't happening here.
Tim, I love your passion on that too, and you know where I come from, and you know that's just not going to happen anymore. We're going to get control of our streets, control of our taxes, control of our economic system here, and we're going to do it. You know, and we're going to do it fast, and it's going to be impactful. It may seem a little scary at first, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to lay out our plan for the people. so they understand what's going on. So there will be no um, shocker coming on.
Yeah.
That's one thing I learned about the Trump administration. What they didn't lay out the plan to let people know what they're doing. We will do that, so people feel more at ease. They'll see what's going
Good.
on. They're gonna know exactly what the plan is and the time frame and the benchmarks. We're gonna make it happen. And so
That's
when
what
they
we
know
need.
that, they're gonna have less stress, less worries, and more understanding. And that's the plan.
Good.
But we're gonna do this. It can be done. It will be done. We have a great state here and a lot of great people. And it's gonna be a shame if we're not in office 2026. Because this state will flatline without Tim and I.
Yeah, we need you. We need a change, big change. I'm born and raised here. I grew up in Bloomington, Minnesota, and even my hometown isn't the same as it used to be anymore. It's sad. It hurts my heart, but we need to give Minnesota back to Minnesotans in the way Minnesotans love to live. We're Minnesota nice. We're supposed to be, at least. We're a community of immigrants and different cultures. I mean, just down on
Right.
Concord Street. Have you been on Concord Street on Cinco de Mayo? It's the best time ever. It's a
It is
huge
the
party.
best time ever. Yeah.
Those are the kind of things we start to need to celebrate with each other, so that way we feel more comfortable to grow as a community together and not apart. We need to feel like
Right.
we're all under the same umbrella and we're not under these little separate groups. We need to be all under and feel like all Minnesotans instead of all this compartmentalized different groups of people that nobody wants to talk to each other. No, we don't need that anymore.
Right.
No, we're done with that. We were supposed to be one Minnesota. Then let's go towards that. We may not get it because there's always going to be that one person, right? That don't want
Yeah.
to. But if we can get enough people that's in Hennepin County who wants to make a change and can see the vision that we see for Minnesota, then I think that we can pull this thing off. I do believe there's enough people outside of Hennepin County who understand the vision that we have for Minnesota that would vote for us. But the people in Hennepin County have been brainwashed. The people of Hennepin County have been lied to for so long that I think a lot of people in Hennepin County, a lot of people in Duluth, and a lot of people in Rochester have just given up. So what Brad and I have to do is we got to go in there and let those people know that, you know what, we're here. We need you to help us move Minnesota forward. We need you to get up from being so downtrodden that we can do something different for you. We've got to convince them of that because Hennepin County is pathetic right now. They are. There's no ifs, ands, buts about that. I know that for a fact. That's not something I'm telling you. They believe that this is all they have. What they have right now, it's it, and it's never going to get any better. So we've got to make Hennepin County understand that and believe that we have a vision and we looking to make things a lot better than what they are now. Because your leadership that you have now, Tim Walz is nowhere to be found. Peggy is gone. She's gone. People, listen to me. Your lieutenant governor is gone. Period. Point blank. Doesn't matter if we have something bad happen. They're not going to do anything. Let me remind you of what happened when the city was on fire.
That's right.
Exactly what I'm talking about, what I just said. Nothing.
No.
Hold on. Let me say that again, just in case somebody missed that.
I'm listening. Oh.
Exactly.
Well,
That was the response.
and you know that that's what inspired me to get in. Not only did I feel this was a calling to me, but because I'm one of those people that I was waiting and waiting for somebody to come in and do the job. I supported, I prayed, and guess what? You know what happens to people that
Hmm.
wait? Nothing. And that's
Right.
why we're
Nothing
here.
gets done.
Tim and
Hmm.
I will unite the people of Minnesota, and we will make this state affordable again.
Amen to that. I, uh, Trust me, we need it more than ever.
There you go. Hey, we are 19, and sorry, um, but we're over a little bit. So I was gonna keep you guys for. I said I'm gonna keep you for 1 hour, and that's it. And I'm gonna let you go. But we're 19 minutes over. But like I said, a lot of times when Winnie and I, especially when Winnie and I get together, I have to watch
I'm
the
a
clock
talker.
because we can run off at the mouth, and it's like 2 hours, and I'm like, Winnie, we've been here for a long time.
We can keep going though.
Right? At the end of the day. So, with that said, you want to any closing remarks you got there, Winnie, for me before we leave?
Ladies first.
Well, just, hey, I wish nothing but the best for you two. I'm going to push for you. If there's anything I can do to help the campaign, I'm willing to do it as long as I can physically. But yeah, and if anybody wants to find me, I'm on social media, Winnie Schrader, WINNIESCHRADR. But you can check out my podcast if you just want to find me at mysteriesmayhemandmerlot.net. You can check out my true crime podcast as well. I do dabble in some of the kind of political crimes and things like that. If that kind of goes along the lines with your audience and conspiracy theories. But yeah, that's kind of my jam. But yeah, I wish nothing but the best for you guys. I feel more confident now having this type of platform and talking about these things is going to help the ball rolling, getting more education to the Minnesotan voters, the voter base, because I think a lot of people are just miseducated on politics and they don't understand it really. They're just voting on emotion and one topics. They're not really looking at it as a whole. So I think your kind of demo, I feel like you can really open that up, especially to youthful voters, especially even new voters coming in to,
Yeah.
I think will be my son's first governor's election, the next one coming up. So, but yeah, so I,
Exciting.
sending prayers, good luck, everything I got for you guys, and thank you for having me on again. I always enjoy doing this, and I'm like an open book. I'm very open-minded, and I love spitballing and having ideas because that's how things get done. So, I, give you guys kudos for doing stuff like this to get the word out there.
And if we don't see you before the 24th, I hope to see you on the Twitter. If you can't make it, trust me, I understand. I understand.
I'm gonna do my best. If if I'm able to walk, I will be there. That's my goal. I need to get out of the house. So, but thank you guys so much for having me on. This has been just so much fun. It was nice meeting you, Brad, as well, and I look forward to seeing you grow as a candidate. This is going to be fun.
Thank you, Winnie. I appreciate that. And yeah, you seem like a lot of fun, and we got to get to do this more often. At least a couple of
Yeah.
times, a year that we get together and come up with some good topics we want to talk about. And I hope you come on the 24th. If not, we're going to have a fundraiser and actually a meet and greet. I don't like calling them fundraisers. I call them meet and greets, and let people feel comfortable what they want to do. And we certainly don't want to pressure people into doing anything, but we want people to really get out and get to meet Tim and I. And we want to build those relationships. So again, the 24th, it's going to be at the Eagle Ridge Apartments Community Room, and that is 7020 Magna Drive. Now it's Magda Drive in Maple Grove. Okay, and that's at the Eagle Ridge Apartments. For more about Tim and I, or our website, bradkohler.com is the best way to reach out to us. We do respond to everybody. So we appreciate you following us tonight and joining in. Looks like we had almost 290 people tonight join in, which is great. We appreciate y'all watching. God bless America and God bless Minnesota.
Yes. God
Yeah,
bless us all.
appreciate that. And I thank both of you guys for coming in and hanging out with me also. A lot of times I'm on here by myself. I always ask people if they want to come on and hang out. and just like Brad say, we answer everybody, good or bad. Either way, I mean, if you got something bad to say about me, more than likely you're going to get an answer, which usually shocks people because they sit there and go, wait a second. You're not supposed to answer me. I was saying bad things about you. Well, okay, that's cool too. We can have that conversation. We can have any conversation you want. It doesn't matter. So again, we're going to be in Maple Grove on the 24th from 5 to 8. That was the Eagle Ridge Apartments, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're still going to be pushing that all the way up to that date. And if, like I said, if you're in Maple Grove, anywhere around, if you can get in a car and you can come and hang out with us on that date, please, ma'am and sir, come out, shake our hands, say hello, listen to what we feel that is right for Minnesota and which way we want to go with Minnesota. But again, I thank you, Winnie. I thank you, Brad, for coming in and hanging out with me on today. I kept you a little later than I thought I would, but I knew he was going to go over. So
time flies
much
having
needed.
fun, right?
Right?
Yep, I'm good. It's fun. I love it.
All right, fam. Y'all have a good night. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace, and we're out of here. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, thank each and every one of you for hanging out with us. Had an awesome good time. Again, I was hoping Brad was going to read some of your responses, but he didn't. For some reason, I cannot see them. I don't know what's going on with my get up. But we'll. Oh, wait a second. Oh my God. There it is. Check that out. There's days. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I don't know if you guys are still there, but I'm going to see if I can find a couple here and see what we can answer. Hey, Proxy PROSKI Inc. Hey, guys. Want to say hey back to you. Coach Elder. Good evening, guys. Good evening to you. Let me find a question here I can answer real quick. This is super exciting. Let's go and do that. Where do we have a question? Let's see here. I'm going to answer one, then I'm going to let you guys go. Okay, you say they need to speed up the process to become legal. It's taken forever. It took my grandmother 10 years to become legal and she's from Dublin, Ireland. This is the sun always come out tomorrow. Yes, that's something that I definitely want to deal with that situation. To where you guys don't have to wait so long for this to happen. Like I said, the people who are here, if you've been here for 5 years and you still in the process of trying to get your papers correct and becoming then we just gotta get you through like tomorrow. If you have been here and you've done everything you're supposed to do, you haven't committed no crimes, you're ready to pay your taxes, or you even already paying taxes, okay, let's get you done. And let's deal with the people who are just like I said. Someone coming in here jumping the fence. So he said 80,000 legal immigrants in Minnesota. 81,000. Well, we're going to figure it out. We're gonna. This situation is going to get figured out. They don't care. Listen to me, people. Y'all. For you who who are not into this, for you who are not out on the streets, for you who are not looking into stuff like this, y'all are missing the picture of this whole situation. As long as these people are out here on the streets, 81 illegal immigrants are in Minnesota. You are paying for them. In some way, somehow, your tax money is paying for it. They sit there and go, well, if you take seniors and they don't pay for taxes, how are you paid for that? Well, I've got 81 illegal people, 81,000 illegal people somewhere in Minnesota that we're paying for that. If I can take care of these people and get them off of our dime, hello? If we can take care of these people and get them off of our dime, you know how much money that is? You have any clue? And then I can take care of the senior citizens who want to live in their house, but because the taxes keep going up, it almost more than people. I don't understand what you don't understand about this. Tim Walz will not do this. Peggy Flanagan will not do this. They don't. How many years have they been in those seats? And you think they cared about the seniors who had to sell their homes and move into a senior living place and hope they got enough money to care? You think? At some point in time, people, we've got to seriously wake up. I feel like going to every Minnesotan because we've been in this stagnant situation to where we go, well, it ain't going to get better. Look at the Republicans that they run against the Democrats, and the Democrats just wipe the floor with them all the time. I feel like just going to Minnesotans and literally shaking them and going, wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. He said this. Oh, awesome. I got one right here. Who said this? Prosky Inc. He asked a question. He said, how are you going to help the felons that want to bail? Perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm you know what? I'm totally sorry. But I had lost this thing. I'm serious. I had lost this thing. But now I know where it's at. Anyway, you asked a good question. He said, how are you going to help the felons that want a better life? I'm glad you asked that question because that is what I'm talking about. You got people who get themselves in trouble, correct? The Bible teaches us what? Tell you what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches us there was this man, and this man his name was Zacchaeus. And Zacchaeus was a tax collector. But see, being a tax collector back in those days, everybody looked at you like he was the worst thing ever. Correct? Nobody wanted to hang out with you. Nobody wanted to be around you. And that's how they treat our felons. They do. I know, trust me, I know this for a fact. I spent 7.5 years being a mentor to men in prison, and then when they come out of prison, I helped them get jobs, I helped them around, I helped them do a lot of stuff, right? So I know how people treat felons. They treat them just like everybody in this Roman town treated Zacchaeus. But because he was a Roman, he worked for the Romans, and he was a tax collector, he got rich because he was putting money in his pocket. Yeah, he was a felon. He was a thief. But the Bible teaches us that Jesus came to town. they all knew of him or who he was. And that's why they wanted all to get what? A look at this man. But because Zacchaeus was so short in stature, he decided to go run up a tree. So Zacchaeus go run up that tree, and he's sitting in the tree, and he's watching the crowd bring him in. And Jesus walked right to that tree, to the tree where the felon, to the tree where the thief was. One of the worst people in the village was up that tree. And Jesus said, come down. I'm going to eat with you. I'm going to your home. And all the people around are going, whoa, man. Don't you know who this? Whoa, you can't be that savior. You can't be that. No, don't you know who this is? And you going to go hang out? Man. Even though he was that bad, Jesus said, you deserve a second chance. I'm going to give you a second chance. I'm going to give you what you need. The right to be just like everybody else. That's what I want to do with felons. You ask the question, what do you that wants a better life? You deserve. You've paid your debt to society by going to prison. And in prison, I believe you should be able to get a GED. You should be able to get some type of hands-on work experience. So when you come out, you got something to come out to other than going back to the same place that you went before. I believe if you stay out of trouble for so long, I mean, if you went to jail for selling a dime bag and you're out here doing right hey, we're going to expunge that. If you've done right for 5 years, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to keep treating you like the man that's up in the tree. If you come in and you want to do right and you want to be a good citizen and you want to be a part of what we're doing, then I'm going to give you every opportunity to be that citizen. I want, just like Jesus looked at him. You got every right to be just like them. But you got to want that. When you come out of prison, that's what you have to want that. See, I can't treat you like Zacchaeus if you want to keep acting like the one that's in the tree. But if you come out of the tree and you want to act like the one that Jesus wanted to go and sit at his table, knowing that at the end of the day, he's going to turn his life around and he's going to follow Jesus. If you want to be like him, then we can do something with you. But if you want to be a felon and keep acting like the same one that walked out those prison doors, if that's what then I can't do nothing with you. See, if you want to turn, you got a 360, not a 180. See, people don't realize what when people say, well, I turned my life around. No, you didn't. You just did a 180 and went right back to where you came from. I need you to do a 360 when you turn all the way around and you bypass where you just came from to come to a new. If you can be that person, I can do something with you. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. I didn't do a 180, my friend. I did a 360. I turned all the way around from everything that was out there that made me do and be the person that I was before. I don't need a 180. I need a 360. So any felon that feels that they can do a 360 and stay on that road, brother, you don't even have to worry about it. We will do everything we possibly can do to make sure that you get done and you get treated right here in these Americas. Hey, if we can do it for people who are coming from other countries, then we should be able to take care of ours right here and there. You said, and the people in addiction. See, there's another thing when it comes to somebody with addiction. You got to want this. I can't look. As many people as I fed in the homeless people, I've closed and I've fed thousands. I'm not kidding when I say that. And everybody out there who are homeless had an opportunity to get into a home or get into a shelter or go somewhere. Almost every single one of them. And a lot of them just did not want to do it. Oh no, I'm not going to a home. I'm not going here. Now, every opportunity for anyone who is strung out to get them help, we'll do that. If we have to make it free to get these people off of these drugs, because it's only going to help all of us to make that happen, correct? If we can get all these people, then we're going to do that. That's the plan. No Minnesotan will be left, whether you're poor, whether you're even the rich people. I know people, one thing people are upset, and I hear them being upset a lot about, is children eating food who are rich. Right? We open it, and I'm all for that. I'm all for feed. No, I don't give a flying jack. Feed the kids. Oh, well, Rev, what about the rich people? I don't care. Feed them. How do you really know what type? And I'm going to hold on. How do you really know what type house that kid come from? That kid could come from a rich house, but yet things are going on in that house that we don't even know of. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Democrats will feed everybody because they think one of those kids is not eating. Republicans will not feed every kid because they think that one kid shouldn't be eating. That's a true story. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'll put you right here. Right here. Every kid deserves a meal. Now, everybody's always saying, well, Rev, these kids are throwing these foods away. Then we need to figure out why. Why are these kids throwing these food away? Why? If that's the deal, then we figure out why, and we figure out what food they want to eat, and then we feed that food to them. And guess what? That food no more goes into the garbage. But every kid gets to eat. Period, point blank. I don't care if Bill Gates' son came here and went to school. Bill Gates' son has a right to walk into that line, pick up a tray, and go eat. Period, point blank. That's something I don't play with. I don't play with our kids. So if you're a Republican and you got a problem with that, then I don't need and want your vote. And I'm being dead serious. Because the Republicans are the only ones that I ever fight with when it comes to that. And I'm going to tell you what, I know. Because half of the people, the Republicans who are against this, are the very ones that you don't see at the homeless camps, at the very ones you don't see at the food shelves, at the very one you don't see out here helping other families. I went to a family in Medina. I've told this story before. I get a call. Rev, can you help this family out in Edina? I go out to the house in Edina, and they got some of everything. What am I doing out here? Come to find out, Daddy lost his job. They're almost, 7 months behind in rent, and they ain't paid nothing because Dad ain't got a job, and they're going downhill. But yet, they want to look like they're all that in a bag of chips. Well, the kids are suffering now. So like I said before, you don't know what's in that house. You have zero clue. Just because they are, don't mean they really are. Just remember, I've learned that. I was out in Apple Valley. Got a family out there. F-150 in the driveway, a nice Mercedes sitting on the other side, but they can't pay their bills. And the kids suffer. I know people, well, that's the family, that's the mom and dad's fault. And I realize that. But one day, you don't know what type of position you're going to be in. And maybe that is the day that you go, oh, I understand what Rev said. I don't play with kids. When it comes to these kids, I have no. Everybody eats. And like I said, if you got a problem with that, and if I get into that seat, I will keep the same energy when it comes to that. There is never going to be a change when it comes to these kids. Ever. Everybody eats. Period, point blank. And the Republicans are the only ones I ever have a problem with that. The very ones who sit here and swear up in God, talking about, oh, we give more. No, you don't. That's a damn lie. I can tell. I ran a nonprofit. Republicans give one time and be like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And then they swear up and down they done something for you. That's a damn lie. I can tell you that for a fact. So when it comes to the kids, I'm on this energy when it comes to kids. I'm on this energy. I'm on the same energy that it comes up when it talking about protecting our girls. I went to we was in St. Louis Park today. I had to take my wife to get this ear, nose, and throat get up thing. And I was going to take a picture of it. But they had a thing on the door, right? They had a woman and a man, had a divider between it, and then they had a handicap plate. But basically, this bathroom was unisexed. I don't see a problem with that. I didn't see a problem, and my wife was looking at me, and then she looked. I said, no, lovey, I don't have a problem with a unisex bathroom, meaning one person go in there at a time. Either a woman go in there or a man go in there. But I'd be damned if any man is going to walk into a bathroom at the same time my granddaughter is in there. I just because he put some hair on, throw on some lipstick, a little bit of eyeliner, and put a dress on, that don't give him a right to go in there. We're not playing that. It will never happen in the state of Minnesota. Ever. Let me be clear. And I don't give a jack. If you want to be trans, be anything you want to be. You want to be LGBTQ, you be anything you want to be. I have no problem with you. Zero. But the problem I have is you ain't going in there with no girls. Same thing with the prison. On day one, if you're a man, you better believe you will be coming out of the women prison. Day one. Day one. We're not doing this. We're not doing it. I'm just saying. Period, point blank. But anyway, if you are an addict, if you want help, we will give every means to you to get clean. But the problem is that I know, and I've been down there and I've dealt with them, right? I got Norcan in my car right now for a reason. I've been trained how to use that. If I see someone flopping around on the get up and then they go dead stone cold, I pop my Norcan out, pop it in there. And then a week later, the same person have overdosed again. If they want help, we will get them help. I promise you that. What else we got? Real quick here. Demographically is 1 things you have to look at. The boomers need to look at that too. Yeah, yep. We've got it. We've got to deal. Immigration in Minnesota has become a money laundry gift. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, CJ. Somebody had to say it, right? All of this fraud. Let me make sure y'all understand something. See, a lot of y'all are just learning about this here. I used to talk with Senator Roger Chamberlain. Look him up. We would get on the phone and we talked about certain things. So I knew about a lot of this stuff that was going on before it even went public. I knew, and we talked about it. And he ran. The reason he's not a senator anymore is because he was leading up this whole thing and getting to the bottom of this Feed Your Future, all of this fraud, whether it was a daycare, whether it was all of that stuff, right? The Democrats realized that and ran more money than ever against him. That's why he's not there anymore. Excuse me. But look him up. While he was, while he was at the Capitol, he was the first one that was looking into all of this fraud that was going on in Minnesota. And I talked to him all the time about it. And he was like, Rev, we're doing this. I'm going to do this. I said, I know I'm going to get in trouble. I know they're going to come after me, but I'm going to open the door. Boom, he goes. And nobody talked about it anymore because the Republicans were scared. They saw what happened to him and they were scared. And finally, because it got so thick, money was gone out of Minnesota. Finally, they start talking about it. But here's the deal. They didn't have any subpoena power. They don't have power to call people up. Put me in the office. Y'all want this fraud to be gone? I know where the bodies are buried. Almost $3 billion went into North Minneapolis, St. Paul, South Minneapolis, in those areas, Rochester, and Duluth. And nothing has changed. Where is that money? No. Where is that money? Here is why I don't understand why taxpayers are not upset. Why you're not mad. Why you're not pissed off. Here is why I don't understand why a group of taxpayers hadn't got together and went up there to the Capitol and start kicking doors. I literally don't get it. Here is why I'm not understanding why you're not forcing the people you give your voice to have town halls to answer your questions. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you just give your vote and you sit back and you just let stuff happen. Like you don't care. It doesn't matter anymore. These people come up to you and they say, well, I want to go up there and work for you. And you go, okay. And you go vote for them. And they get up there and they don't give a damn about you. But when someone comes along and say, I want to work with you. Every weekend, I want to have a session to where you come meet the lieutenant governor all around Minnesota. And you tell me your problems. You tell me your cares. You tell me your worries. And we see what we can do to work this thing out. You can't meet Peggy Finnegan. You can't meet Tim Walz. Tim Walz have been all over Iowa and some everywhere else. Can you put your finger on him? Can you touch him? Can you talk to him? Why can you not see your leaders? Why won't your leaders answer questions? because they don't give a damn about you. I mean, at some point in time, somebody got to tell you the truth, right? Somebody, you can be mad at me if you want. That damn Rev, he's. But when is the last time your leader has really done anything for you? Giving you the time of day. You couldn't even get Tim Walz on the phone. You couldn't get him to answer an email. You can't get Peggy to show up at anything that's important to you. And that's who you want leading your state? It's like half of the Democratic Party won't deal with me. They will not deal with me because they know I'm going to call them out. They know I'm going to point them out and call them out. Same thing with the Republican Party. I got people in the Republican Party won't even. That dude Kip, what's his name? Kip, whatever his name is. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He's a Republican influencer or whatever he is. He said, we don't deal with you, Rev, because you burn everything up. Mike Norton, that dude Mike Norton that rides the bike. I wanted to do something with him. Mike's like, no, Rev, you loud. You know, he called me a loud black man. I knew what he meant. So I get it from both sides. I get it. The Republicans don't like me and the Democrats don't like me. They don't. Because I start doing this, expecting them to do what they're supposed to do. And because you guys don't do this, then they can paint me as a loudmouth black man. Because y'all will just sit there and let them do whatever they want. Now, just like Royce White. I don't agree with the way Royce White does things. I don't. And I've told Royce that. But he has every right to be mad. He has every right to be upset. I think he had a thing out there tonight talking about profanity. Saying the F word. Maybe that's for him. I think if he toned that part down a little bit, I think he'll get more people actually listening to him. And then just like what the Republicans are doing to him, they're upset because Royce is doing this. Anytime you start pointing your finger at them and telling them to do their job, then you're the bad person. Anytime you start doing this here and telling them to do their job, you are the bad person. You know then you're over the target. That's how I know I'm over the target. When they come at me. And because we don't have enough people telling them to do their job and they're able to go out there and do whatever, then us, the ones who are telling them to do their job, we're the bad people. Because you guys will not do your job in telling them to do their job. The one thing I can tell you about politicians is they know money and numbers. Money, they want as much as they can, and numbers, they want as many people as they can. If 100 of us showed up at that Capitol, we can get stuff done. But because only one person ever show up at the Capitol, they don't give a care. They don't care. They look at me like I'm a fool. You're only one person talking all this here noise. But if you listen, if I can get a couple more people to sit here and say, let's do something different, let's make Minnesota back to where it once was, then maybe we can make a difference. But we can't make a difference in the way that things are going right now. And everything's going to be the same way, right? But CJ, trust me when I say I know all of this money that is being doled out, all of this taxpayers' money that's been doled out is crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, I just said I was going to do one, and here I am, still got you guys. My throat is dry. It's crazy right now. So let's end the night like we always end the night, realizing and understanding that we serve a mighty God. We serve a God that if you give him your heart, mind, your spirit, and your soul, that will be totally different. One of the things that y'all should take an opportunity to read tonight. I want you to go to Psalms 34 and 4. Psalms, write this down. I want you to go to, this is one of my, I love this piece of scripture. And I'm going to tell you why. I want you to go to Psalms 34 and 4. It's a small piece of scripture, but it's big. It's big, people. Because in that scripture, there's a word. And I think people miss this word in that scripture. I don't think people really understand how important that one word in this scripture is. And I'm going to give you that one word. Psalms 34 and 4. And in Psalms 34 and 4, there's this word. And that word is all. He didn't say some. He didn't say a little bit. He didn't say what you bring me. What that psalm says is all. Every bit. No matter, I don't care how dirty you are. I don't care if you was a druggie. I don't care if you was a rapist. I don't care if, well, no, let me take that back. Sorry. I got ahead of myself. Because there's things that should be done to rapists that if I could. But anyway, let me finish up. I just had to cut that one out. But it doesn't matter what you have done. In that Bible, it says all. No matter how dirty you have gotten yourself, what God will do is he will turn it all around. If you give him your heart, your mind, your spirit, and your soul. I promise you that. I promise you that. But anyway, fam, thank you guys. Seriously, thank you guys for hanging out with us. It was awesome. Brad and I have planned on doing this here a lot. If you want to be a part, and like I always tell people, if you want to hang out with me, let me know. Send me a DM. Hey, Rev, I'd like to come on and rip it up with you. I will send you my link to right here and put you right alongside, and we can hang out. I plan on doing this here for a long time. And if I can get some Minnesotans on here and you can tell me what your needs, your cares, your wants are, and we can get those down in the books so we can work on them and see what we can do about it, that would be so awesome with this whole situation. But again, fam, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Always remember that once you give your life over to God, I guarantee you will have a smile on your face. And you know what we do with those smiles? We take them out and we smile at somebody, so somebody smiles back at you. Y'all have a good night. We'll talk to you soon, probably Friday. We'll see you on Friday. Yeah. Y'all have a good night. Peace.